Welcome back to the Papa Meat channel. How you doing? Come on in and sit on down. Today I wanted to tell you a personal story of mine. Something from when I was a child that has really stayed with me through the years. We just got done with 4th of July. It's been a big family weekend thing, so I thought I'd tell you a nice story from when I was a childhood. Albeit creepy, albeit very weird, albeit scary, some would even say. And it all starts when I'm like 6 or 7. Don't have an exact age, all right? All I know is I was heading down to the lake with my cousin and my father. We were going to have a nice camping trip. I'm the only seed that's a boy from my father, so I'm becoming a man, and he's trying to induct me into manhood. And I show up looking very fresh to the campground, wearing a Yu-Gi-Oh shirt that had like Exodia on it, and I had some sweet Goosebumps shorts and some Birkenstocks. The afternoon is full of cheer, it's full of joy. We go fishing, you know, we're walking around, we're hiking around, we're doing all kinds of stuff. And then my dad makes a nice campfire, and he does that thing where a lot of rednecks dads do, where starts a fire in the fire pit, and then he fills up a nice like Dixie cup of gasoline and throws it into the fire, and a big fireball goes up. And as a kid, you're like, yay! Not really knowing the ramifications that you could have burnt down the whole campground, but that's not why we're here today. It's nighttime now, first day. We're supposed to be there 4 days. My dad set up all these traps for raccoons around the campsite because we have a bunch of food out, and if you've ever been to a campground, you know that raccoons like to get in that shit and they just tear stuff open and they eat stuff. That's just what they do. But you make a nice little trap, you trap them in the morning, you scare them off. You shell shock a bunch of raccoons. We're all sitting by the fire. My dad is telling a story. And basically it goes like this. When he was younger, when he was about my age, coincidence, he was out in the woods with his brother. They're mushroom hunting in Illinois out in the forest. They come across this old shack, dilapidated, but there was like strings of fishing wire. There was birds hanging up in the trees from ropes and stuff. Mind you, this was also around the time where Blair Witch came out, so I think that he did that for dramatic effect. I'm not entirely sure. But him and his brother, Ty, walk up. My dad's name's Chad. I know. They walk up to the shack and they peek in. Hello? What's in there? And there's this old piss-stained mattress with a sheet, a bunch of bottles on the floor, and an old shotgun's leaning up against the wall. And my dad talks to his brother. He says, "What do you think this place is?" And his brother's like,
"Probably something crazy, I'd imagine. I think we shouldn't be out here."
And as he says that, a twig snaps behind him. They turn around quickly and look, and they're looking through and they don't see anything amongst the trees, and they go and they hide around the shack, and they're peeking around the corner and out from behind a tree. And mind you, when he's telling this, it's a theatrical event. He is acting it all out. My dad stands behind a tree and he pokes his leg out like a lady of the night showing her leg for a cab. And a dwarf peeked his leg out, and he was wearing clothes from the 1800s, 1700s even. And he come around and he had a big sack with him that was dripping some kind of liquid, he couldn't tell. This dwarven creature was walking around the forest, making all kinds of weird cackling noises. At this point as a child, I'm horrified. Just his performance is earth-shattering. He's giving old DDL a run for his money. The performance is so fantastic. And as he sits there and he says that they come up to the dwarf, and the dwarf kind of runs beyond the trees, my dad looks to his brother and says, "Let's get out of here." And as they go, the dwarf bites him on the back of his leg. My dad's screaming, "Ah!" What I didn't realize, my dad was bit by a dog when he was younger, so he flashes that, fucking lifts up the back of his leg, and he's like, "The dwarf bit me right here." He has a scar on the back of his leg. "It bit me right here and it wouldn't let go, and it crawled around. And next thing you know, I started seeing him everywhere I went, and I still think he follows me to this day." Today's video is sponsored by Factor. Factor is a meal delivery service that couldn't be easier. It helps with meal prepping, but also saves you in those moments when you're not so prepared for dinner. And your meal is delivered fresh, never frozen, straight to your door. All you have to do is heat, eat, and enjoy. In the oven or in the microwave. However you want to do it, it's ready to eat in minutes. Factor meals come pre-prepared by chefs and dietitians, eliminating all of the guesswork you have to do, while also making sure everything you eat is delicious and nutritious. And you know what? I think I'm hungry now. So let's see what's on the menu for this week. I think I'll have the smoky barbecue chicken breast, and it comes with mashed potatoes, creamed corn, and green bean casserole. God damn, that sounds good. And within minutes, that delicious meal is right in my tiny belly. Not big. My tiny belly. Head to Factor75.com or click the link below and use promo code PAPAMEAT50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. Thank you, Factor, for sponsoring the video, and back to the video. So basically, my dad tells me a story about how he was bit by this like were-dwarf, whatever the fuck that means. Obviously, he's doing it because we're in a forest now, and he's trying to scare me. I don't have that rationalization as a child. I'm very afraid. I was eating a bunch of Star Crunches. I'm an overweight, obese child. Look at me now. Okay, imagine me without a beard. That's what I look like as a child. All right, and I'm sitting there, and my dad's just like, he's had like, I don't know, 30 beers wasted. I mean, just gone. And he's just like, well, we're rafting tomorrow, so might as well hit the sack now. And as we go to sleep, my stomach, God, it grumbles. I mean, I had the worst stomach pains of my life. Too much sweets. Didn't know that was a thing when you were younger. You kind of just have candy until you throw up, but I never had this transitional pain where you go where the sugar's really digesting and you're like, oh fuck, I've made a horrible life mistake. I'm sitting here in the cold, cold darkness of this campground. The shadows of bats fly ahead. I'm panting, I'm in a cold sweat, stomach aching. I'm scared to high hell. There's critters going around. One of the traps goes off. I looked to my cousin AJ. What is that? He's probably just a raccoon. Why don't you just shut the fuck up and go to bed? He didn't really see me. He was like, you know, he was like 9. He's like, it's just a raccoon hunter. God. And I lay back down, and just once again, my mind is racing. As the moonlight's casting onto the tent, I see all these dwarven people dancing around the tent. I can't tell if I'm sleeping or if I'm awake. I'm truly astral projecting at this point. I don't even know where I'm at. I'm in a different world. But my God, does my stomach hurt. So I'm coming to the quick realization that I have to take a shit, like really bad. Like to a point where I'm like, oh God, like it's doing a little prairie dog thing where it peeks out a little bit and you get like a little piece of spaghetti, you just suck it right back in. Like that. I was doing that a lot. So what happens? You kind of do like the little thing where you're holding it, you're pinching real tight and stuff, but little seeps of like farty gas that are blocked by the turd are just kind of sitting there and they're seeping out. And my cousin is, oh God, are you farting? I'm like, no, I'm not farting. I didn't fart. He's like, God, reeks, Chad. He does it. I'm like, don't wake him up. And my dad, who has horrible sleep apnea, is just like sleeping. He couldn't be bothered. My cousin kind of drifts back to sleep, luckily, but the tent is just, I mean, it smells horrible. It's just a putrid candy fart kind of thing. It's sweet, but it's also tangy. It's the worst kind of like sensory fucking overload you could ever have. And I know that if I could do something right now, I would have to do something that I've never done before, which is wake up my father and inconvenience him. I don't know if this is for everybody else, but I am deathly afraid of my father, even before the story. It's one of those things where it's just, you don't even, it's like a giant bear that you just kind of like, you're like, hi Dad, all right, bye. And you like kind of go around. And I know that 1, if I woke up my father, he's gonna be mad. 2, he's gonna make fun of me. And he's gonna make a big ordeal about it, and my cousin's gonna give me shit for the next like 3 days that I'm there, right? So what do? I say, well, I'll go to the restroom myself. I'm trying to fiddle with the tent thing. It's too dark, so I'm fiddling around, whatever, and they're kind of tossing and turning because I'm making so much noise because the fucking bottom of tents are made off like plastic tarps. So it's like, I'm trying to get the little zipper thing. It's clinging around like a bunch of change, and my dad's like, my cousin's like, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing. I'm looking outside, I saw a bird. And he was like, go back to bed, dude. I'm like, fine. So as I'm laying there, it's becoming very, very apparent that I'm going to shit my pants. There's no way around it. This is just kind of the fate I'm in. And I thought to myself, okay, well, if I shit my pants, maybe they won't wake up. And in the morning, I'll be able to see the zipper and I'll be able to get out and just kind of like plop it onto the ground before anybody notices. Clever thinking from a 6 to 7-year-old child. As this happens, I kind of just let it slowly kind of come out, but it lands in my pants like, I mean, it felt like it had the weight and girth of like a Mountain Dew can. I mean, it just thumped. What was even crazier is I'm on my back and still like, you can almost hear it like a big meatloaf just dropping on the ground. Didn't realize how stinky shit actually is. You know, you don't, I mean, like in the grand scheme of things, it's like you flush it, you don't smell it that much. It reeks. I mean, it could not, I mean, it was unbelievable because I was like, it's not gonna smell that bad. It's fine. It already smells kind of farty in here. We'll be okay. As soon as it dropped, the whole tent was horrible. My cousin he's sleeping, and I think it caused a nightmare because he's like, he kind of wakes up and his eyes are watering. He like leans up and there's like the moonlight here. He's like, did you just shit your pants? And I was like, no, didn't happen. Chad, my dad immediately this time, boom, wakes up immediately. He does, oh my God, who shit their pants? And my cousin's like, it wasn't me, it was Hunter. And I was like, I didn't do it. Immediately, he grabs my wrist and goes outside, and you can see like a giant diaper butt from like my really fucking sweet, I had this really sweet, it was like Buddha sweatpants thing. In the grand scheme of things, it was like kind of offensive. It's like something you got at Walmart, and it's just like, I'm just Buddhaing it around or whatever, but it had a bunch of Buddhas on it. I like Buddhas back in the day. I bought little statues from Barnes & Noble, it doesn't matter. But the whole thing was, goes up and he's like, I can't believe you shit your pants. And sitting there with the fucking logs flopping around and my pants in the back. I feel horrible. I have to walk all the way down to the park campground toilet shower thing. Puts me in there and I'd have to strip down and take a shower and stuff. He brings a bar of soap with him, but he gives it to me. He's like, here, wash up. I grab it, immediately slips out of my hands. Mind you, I'm naked by this point, and it falls on the ground next to the shit pants, and there's a turd on the ground too. So as I'm feeling around, my hand gets in the poop a little bit, and I'm like, I don't know, but it's so dark in there. I mean, it's like fucking 4 a.m. There's no lights or anything. It's just moonlight coming through like the cracks of the bathroom, and he's like, oh. Ah! He freaks out again, and he's like, just grab your stuff. So I'm like naked going back to my campground, and he lights up a quick fire when we get back. And I remember this part was especially devastating. He lit up a fire, and it was just like gagging the whole time. I mean, just like driving. Oh God. Oh. And you could see all of the lanterns from other people's tents turning on because he's making so much noise about it. And people were like, what the hell's going on? And he's like, don't worry about it. He's just fucking dry heaving. Throws all of my clothes in the fire. But even back then, I was like, what about a plastic bag? Just throw it in a plastic bag, it'll be fine. And I remember it was especially devastating because as the light was dancing in the night sky, and you could see the fabric going up there into ash, flames were trickling off my glistening eyes because I was in borderline tears from embarrassment. I just watched my really, really dope Yu-Gi-Oh shirt get burned in the fire, and I was like, I swore to myself, I said, one day I am going to get revenge on my father. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I guess me going to art school is kind of revenge in a way. I know he was really upset about that, but needless to say, the morning came, still kind of smelled a little poopy. My dad was so mad because it just like fumigated the tent, and we were supposed to be there for 4 days and we left that morning. I caused the trip to end early, which as a kid, I didn't really understand how upset he was, because in my mind I was like, nice, I get to go back home and play PS2. That's immediately where my mind went. I was like, okay, sweet, I gotta go home and play MLB Slugfest on the PS2. That's where my mind was at. All in all, I don't know, it has the drama, the anticipation with everything. As I was sitting there on the 4th and I just thought of the story and I just had to share it with somebody. So I hope that in the future, if you have any children and they shit their pants, just discreetly and privately tell them it's okay. Don't scare your children before bed, especially whenever you've been eating nothing but Cosmic Brownie and Star Crunches for the whole time, because they're gonna shit them pants. But especially if they have a really dope shirt that they love, don't burn it. That's my story for you today. Thanks for listening, and I will catch you the next one. Bye-bye.